Bumps and bruises, scratches and scrapes, some of the ingredients that a good life makes. But sorrows become success. And as we aim for the top, we will pause if we must, but we will never stop. Welcome to Sim Soul Sessions. Hello there and welcome to Sim Soul Sessions. This is the safe space to share your stories. Tonight it is my honor to sit with a heartstrong, headstrong woman who faces more than her fair share of headwinds, but she tackles them head on. The sides you don't see publicly, often, of the publicly perceived Iron Lady, but she's a mother, she's a friend, she's a lover of laughter and dancing, a self-proclaimed romantic and frustrated actress. Yes, my guest tonight is the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paula Llewellyn, CD, KC, sitting with me tonight. Such an honor to have you, Madam DPP. Thank you for coming.
It's wonderful to be here. I'm going to look on it as a mental health break.
Hey, I love that for you, and I love that for me, for you to see it in that way. I'm sure people heard the intro and were wondering, frustrated actress? Romantic? There's so many things we can delve into. But let's start at the beginning, perhaps with the most recent. Headwinds galore. You faced many. Your hair blows in many.
And sometimes that's why I keep it short.
Also a comedian, let me tell you. Coming out of a pretty strong headwind, 9 months out of office.
Yes.
While this amendment was challenged and your time in office looked at, this extension. A rough time for you, you say. But being back is a wonderful feeling. How does it feel to be?
Absolutely. I went to the Portland circuit for 2 weeks with one of my colleagues, and I was really heartened by the outpouring from the public, from jurors, from police officers. And when I opened to the jury, you know, it was good to hear the sound of my voice.
It was good.
As an advocate
I
again.
love that. That fuels you.
Yes.
And what did that feel like in that moment? Because you addressed the chamber for is it the last time before you leave in September?
Well, that was in the Court of Appeal. I don't really plan to go back to the Court of Appeal. Okay. I will be making cameo visits to different circuits throughout the Easter term, which ends on July 31st. Yeah. But I do not plan to go back to the Court of Appeal. And an en banc sitting where the majority of the Court of Appeal sits, we had 9. It's a rare occurrence. Over the 40 years as a prosecutor, and certainly at least the 38 that I've been at the office of the DPP, I have only seen 3 en banc sittings, and I've participated in all 3. The Queen against Errol Price, which was the whipping appeal, at that time you only had about 9 Court of Appeal judges, or 8. 5 of them sat. The Peter Dougal matter, which was presided over by Mr. Justice Panton, I think 5 judges sat there too. That appeal had to do with the whole death penalty issue and the endorsement of a case called Trimmingham from the Privy Council, which says that it's only in the rarest of the rare or the worst of the worst cases, and there are 1 or 2 other conditionalities that you should have the death penalty pronounced. And this time, the whole issue of pretrial time spent on remand being counted as time served in the context of a minimum mandatory sentence.
You took the opportunity to say some words to folks who had played a significant role in your career, because you had played a significant role.
That is so. That is so. And I had to say that certainly 6 of the bench, members of the bench, that were, as I looked at them, you know, I hadn't planned to do it, but I could remember each of the 6 of them as youngsters coming to the office of the DPP and having had to interact with them professionally in a mentoring role and watching their brilliance, watching them grow, watching them evolve, looking at every one of them and knowing that they will go very far because they all wanted to be judges.
Yeah.
But when they came, I can remember at least 2 or 3 of them, including the present president of the Court of Appeal, who is the first female president, being almost shy. I could see the brilliance, but she was somewhat shy, and I used to tell her that you have what it takes to be successful. You need to take your light from behind the bushel. And she has told me about that.
But you could
That she
tell her
remembers
that
it.
story because that sounds like the story of your life. From
Well,
high school,
a lot of people would not know
a
that.
lot of people would not know that.
That
But you,
at primary school, I was very shy. Very shy. I spoke with a lisp. I would say that I was a rather ugly child, not an attractive
why do you
child.
say
I was
that?
very skinny. I used to wear these very cat-eye glasses. And you know, when you have the little bump of hair and you have the big ribbon,
Yes.
oh my goodness. But I was a nerd. I was a bookworm.
Reading
I
was
was
your
a voracious.
superpower.
That was my superpower. That's beautifully put. That was my superpower. When it came to vocabulary and reading, I couldn't be beaten.
Yeah.
And that is where I excelled. But I never learned to ride a bicycle. I was very poor at sports. Thankfully, my daughter became a tennis champion, and she's very much the athlete and also cerebral at the same time. And when I went to St. Hugh's High School from St. George's Primary
Big
School,
school. That's my school too.
St. Hugh's?
St. George's Primary.
Oh, St. George's Primary.
ma'am.
That's where I went to school. My mother was a very committed Anglican, so I could only go to Anglican church schools. And when I went to St. Hugh's by about second form, I stopped being so shy and discovered that I love to laugh. I have a great sense of humor, but I was also a frustrated actress, and I loved language, I loved vocabulary, and I loved words.
Yes.
And the juxtaposition of all those factors led me to realize that I'm a frustrated actress. And then the next thing I knew, by third form, having previously wanted to be a librarian because I thought that is the only way that I could cure my insatiable appetite to read, because I read very fast. In fact, my staff will laugh behind my back and to my face and say, listen, when we put up something on the computer, you're reading something with Miss Llewellyn, don't read it with her. She's
Way ahead of you.
but you know, so I decided to do law,
Yeah.
and the rest is history.
Well, we want to talk about that history. Talk a little bit more about the upbringing. Your dad used to tell you, boy, 2 things at home were not good: laziness and lies. You specialized in neither. Work ethic was key, and that's why you are.
That was
where
the
you are
key
today.
in my home. My father, when I was in sixth form.
Hold the story, DPP. We want to get it in full. Let's take this break. First
Yes.
break. We come back and we delve into how she was raised and why that has shaped her life in the way that she now lives it. We do that when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the DPP. Paula Llewellyn is my guest on the show tonight, and we're talking before the break about how you were raised, Madam DPP. You say your strength and resilience and your flamboyance all come from your dad, who let you know that it was only impossible until it was done.
And my mother too. My mother was my rock. Both parents were very strong. I used to tease my mother that she was too strict, but she made no apology for the fact that a child should have brought up, see. And you must always be able to exhibit, even under pressure, grace under fire, and be able to show that you have class, dignity, and that you know better. So many times I channeled my mother. My father now tended to be a little bit more nonconformist in his strength. He was flamboyant, and he believed that courage was the most critical thing to have, and the work ethic. Both of them valued the work ethic. My mother was a nurse. If my sister and I got sick, she would dose us up. We have to go to school. It's a school that would have to call my mother to say,
Come
Paula
for
is
your
running a
thing.
high temperature,
Jesus
come
Christ.
for her.
Wow.
So that is the sort of
That
home.
was a
And
real estate
my
man.
father believed Saturday morning, sun should not be up and we are in bed. So can you imagine these two little girls? He is running he's mowing the lawn, and he would shout for us, everybody, here's our names. Come downstairs and come and help me mow the lawn.
Do something. For something,
Yes,
do you?
absolutely.
That grace under fire served you well in the
Has.
last couple of months. You said that's
Well,
what
it has
kept you
served me well in the 17
alive.
years that I've been in DPP. It has served me well, and so often, sometimes I channel my father, but very often I channel my mother.
Yeah.
And she was a great believer in being able to be strong, courageous, the work ethic, but being able to show grace under fire.
And the faith that they instilled in you too, because you said it was God who took you through this.
I am telling you, my 4 great Psalms, Psalm 23, Psalm 121, Psalm 27, and Psalm 91. So I was within that square. And I believe my faith too. And I felt the prayers of the public so many times everywhere I go, the supermarket, the bank, anywhere, any office, you would always have people from every walk of life coming up to me saying, Madam DPP, we appreciate you. We appreciate the work that you have done. We see what is happening. We are with you. We are praying for you.
Yeah.
And God gave me the grace to be like a patient number 3 batsman. I know you're a sports lady. And the number 3 batsman has to have the grace and the flamboyance, but most importantly, the stick-to-itiveness and the focus to know, pick up the line of the delivery and know which ball to play and which ball to leave
While you
alone.
waited on this ruling,
I found other things to do.
you found other things to do.
I did a course on mediation. I am now a gazetted mediator. And I did it because I wanted to enhance my skill and for personal development in that area. I was also invited by the Chief Justice of Belize, along with Mr. Peter Champagne, to take part in a faculty in terms of making presentations to members of the legal profession, public and private bar, and the judiciary. I was invited by the Minister of Justice in Ghana to also make a presentation on plea negotiations.
You want a working break?
And I was invited by the Attorney General and the DPP of Barbados to also come and run a seminar.
That's what you call
with the
turning
staff.
crisis into opportunity.
Well, the thing about it is that I'm known all over the Caribbean because I've always made myself available to give presentations, not only locally in Jamaica, but also throughout the Caribbean and further afield.
Yeah.
As a member of the International Association
One of your
Prosecutors.
greatest worries, if I can call them that, was for your team. So
Yes.
while people were praying for you,
Yes.
you had put your succession in place and everything.
Yes.
But it was so sudden.
So very sudden.
Yeah, you were hurting for your team.
Yes, and I prayed for them. I prayed for Miss Claudette Thompson, who was one of my proteges and was the acting DPP, and I prayed for the staff because the office of the DPP, it is a tough role that you have to play,
Lots of headwinds.
and the work, it's very onerous. You really have to have the passion and the stick-to-itiveness to do it well.
Yeah.
And I prayed for them, but I had to be consoler-in-chief on the Friday, when I realized, because as a leader, you have to be able to subjugate yourself for the interest of your team. I've always told them that I'm the first person to applaud, to make sure that though they are the wind beneath my wings, I have to be the first to motivate them to outshine the director.
Right.
So at that moment, I realized for the administration of justice, for the team, and for Jamaica, I had to make a decision. There was an avenue in the Constitution that gave me the opportunity to just step aside and be in abeyance. And I could see that several members of my team were traumatized, as I was. But I didn't have the time to indulge myself. So I had to give them a pep talk.
You say you were
Because remember, I have been leading the team.
for
A variety of persons have passed through my hands in terms of mentoring. And I'm a committed public servant.
Yeah.
I am a committed public servant. Very early in my career, I did one of my first murder cases when I was half the size I am today. And my opponent or adversary was none other than the Honorable P.J. Patterson. His junior was Arlene Harrison Henry.
yes. Wow.
And I was quite feisty, and I gathered I did well. It was a hung jury, 11 saying guilty, 1 saying not guilty. I found out afterwards. But Mr. Patterson was so impressed that he and his then partner, Carl Rattray, QC, invited me to join the
Offered you a
firm of
job.
Rattray,
That's
Patterson,
right.
Rattray.
That's right.
But I couldn't go and tell them that conveyancing for me would be boring.
There's no adrenaline in that.
Not for me.
You want the adrenaline.
Not for me.
Yes.
And the thing is, when I reflect, as I'm doing a lot of reflection now in the final year as DPP, I am not triggered by money and I'm not triggered by rank. I was brought up by a nurse and a very down-to-earth countryman, my father. My sister is a nurse, and I've been exposed to nurses and people giving service above self all my life. And I really wanted to be a public servant. So I told Mr. Patterson that although I am very flattered by the invitation, but I would respectfully decline because I want to be a prosecutor at the highest level, and I want to be a public servant.
Public servant.
And he understood to the point that from time to time when we would, after he demitted office as Prime Minister, our paths would cross and I'd say, sir, you look so good in retirement. I should follow you. And he said, oh no, your work is not yet done.
Not yet done.
But I've always had a passion to be both a public servant
We want to talk
and a
through
prosecutor.
some of your experiences in that role and your journey in that role. Even as you reflect, it's a good time to talk to you because we're at a good juncture. We'll talk more of the DPP after this. Soon come. Welcome back, everybody. We are back with the DPP, talking about her career now, your journey. Years after leaving law school and entering as a clerk of court, within 7 years, here you are becoming Crown's Counsel, then Deputy DPP. You walked into what is largely, and still is in many cases, a patriarchal paradigm. Those caused their headwinds.
It was totally a patriarchal paradigm because before me, you had about 6 DPPs, all older than me, and really, quintessential symbols of the patriarchy. And I also was the first person to participate in a competitive process. Previously, the Prime Minister, by fiat, would just appoint the DPP. But I had to be interviewed. I went up against other persons. And fortunately for me, as a deputy DPP in terms of self-development, I had availed myself of a cabinet scholarship to do a senior public sector executive management course at MIND, which is a course that trains you how to be a permanent secretary. So little did I know that when one door apparently had closed, because I won't go into it, but I was withdrawn from court for about 3 years. And what I did, I just
Turned the
I could only go to the Court of Appeal and do 1 or 2 cases as assigned in the parish courts. So I turned that into an opportunity, and it gave me the time to do that course, as well as to channel a lot of my creativity into doing motivational speeches. So I am known for that also. I do motivational speeches in terms of giving service above self, how to overcome challenges, leadership, and, how to be the best that you can be as a professional.
Where did the Iron Lady nomenclature come from?
Well, because of my record as a prosecutor, I was very well mentored in terms of the law and the practice by Mrs. Justice Marva McIntosh. My original mentor in terms of how to be strong and to be the work ethic was my mother, Mavis Llewellyn, and to a certain extent my father, Clinton Llewellyn. But in terms of the law, Marva McIntosh, Miss Justice Marva McIntosh, former senior punitive judge, was really my mother when it came to the law. And she will tell you that she saw the potential, but I was like the diamond in the rough, with all this energy and this flamboyance and feeling that I could conquer the world. But I've always loved being a communicator. The present Chief Justice, Brian Sykes, who I've known from sixth form days when he was in Georges and I was at St. Hugh's, we were both deputy directors at around the same time at the office of the DPP. He always wanted to be a judge. I considered myself so much the woman in the arena as a communicator that to this day, I've never wanted to be a judge. I'm a communicator. But I have been fortunate and privileged to have appeared against the best. You name, when I was a deputy director and senior deputy director, you name any King's Counsel or Queen's Counsel practicing at the criminal bar, any senior counsel, I had appeared against them all and done some great cases and learned from it. So, for example, Valerie Nita Robertson of blessed memory, she and I have done some great cases. We have had some great clashes. And we have recognized and admired the fact that we both bring a great amount of passion to the work. So along the way, I have earned the moniker of Iron Lady, but Senior Defense Counsel will tell you that everybody knows that my smile is infectious. Don't watch the smile, because once the evidence is there, I will be purposeful and intentional, fair, but fearless. And I will not hesitate to go for the jugular in the interest of justice.
Yes, ma'am. You say you are a discerner. You're a people person.
Yes.
And that smile is often what you use to disarm people who come at you, who don't like you from before they meet you.
Well, that is
but you just kind of read the situation and I've got this. And it's a smile and the charm that you accord yourself that you use to kind of just disarm them within minutes.
And sometimes you have to be tough, unflinching, resilient. I find, Simone, that some, at the risk of being pummeled about it, and I have a daughter, she's 26, and I have worked to make sure that one, she has the work ethic, and secondly, she's resilient. Yeah. I find that this generation needs to be more resilient. I don't know if it's because everything is there at the touch of a button. We are really in the computer age that makes everything so easily at hand. But in terms of character building and being able to be resilient, I find that this generation, although they're very creative, but they come up a little short.
Yeah.
And that is unfortunate. But you have to be resilient.
Yeah.
And you have to recognize that things don't come easily. And you have to recognize, I saw a quotation recently, you approach your challenges in a way that other persons looking on will be able to use it as their survival guide. And that is so important.
Share your scars so others can heal. With you. You mentioned your daughter, you mentioned your mom. Let's talk about you as a daughter and as a mother when we come back on the other side of this break. More with the DPP after this. we are back with Madam DPP here. Fascinating story you told me. Workaholic as a matter of course. It took a visit to a murder scene that saw you reacting very strangely.
Yes.
That gave you an inkling that there was something happening in your body of which
In
you were
my
not.
very late 30s. Yes.
What happened?
Well, I felt really woozy. I was up in the hills somewhere in Augustown, looking at the gravesite of where the deceased had been placed by the persons who murdered him. And I found myself panting, and I just couldn't keep up. And then something started to click that I hadn't seen certain things. But because I'm a workaholic, that's not strange. And then I
You
went
were
and did the
pregnant.
test. I am telling
You
you,
didn't even
to my
have time
shock,
to realize.
to my shock, to my shock.
Oh my gosh.
But motherhood found me. I tell people all the time, motherhood found me. I was a confirmed, entrenched workaholic. So my body had to remind me that there's some things greater than being a workaholic, because I had to be on bed rest at 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes,
it was not
ma'am.
easy.
Because you wouldn't stop.
I was going up the wall. Yes, I really had a work rate.
Motherhood found you and motherhood changed you, but motherhood also played such an important role in your life. When you look at your own
Absolutely.
mother, who you've spoken about, and how she instilled her values in you, and then you lost her.
Oh my goodness.
And you said when you lost her, you told your best friend, "I want to die too."
Yes, I really felt it's as if my heart had broken. But she used to tell me that my daughter will be my greatest strength. But Leah was only 6. If I gave up the ghost, then what would happen to her? I mean, yes, she had her father, but I happen to believe that nobody like a good mother in terms of how your child is going to be raised and the value system, with the greatest of respect to the fathers. And in fact, I can tell you, at every graduation from prep school, she went to a private boarding school on a scholarship. She was a tennis champion at Immaculate. At her graduation at Immaculate, at her graduation from the boarding school, at her graduation from Purdue University, her father, who has been there at all the graduations, has looked at me and said, "I know I did a good job, but you did a great job
Fantastic.
with our daughter."
You are so close to her.
We are just as close as I was to my mother.
Yeah.
We are both communicators. And she calls me her greatest mental health professional. But she has done well. I think the work ethic that I instilled saw her doing 2 degrees at the same time at Purdue University.
Yeah. And
From
you
2
had to
different
ride out that
faculties.
stress with her.
Oh my goodness, by phone. And notwithstanding that, she also on the weekend would serve at a restaurant
Wow.
to give her pocket money as well.
Yeah.
Such was her work ethic, and she did very well.
What kind of mother are you?
I was a strict mother, according to her, but she came to thank me for it. I didn't allow her to go on sleepovers. I'm a prosecutor. I know what can happen.
Too much.
I've seen too much. She used to think that I was being influenced by the work that I did. And I said, yes, I am. And I made no apology for it. But I tried to be an engaged mother. I tried to go to some of her tennis games. I tried to be there for her on all weekends. I tried not to have any speaking commitments on the weekends. And I also took her with me and made sure that she was well exposed to this business of life.
A tough balance, DPP.
Well, you would know, being a
Yes.
mother yourself with a very demanding career. But a lot of it has to be intentional and purposeful. I tried to expose her to my faith and how important having your faith is. I tried to make sure that she understood that success, the underbelly of success, should be humility. And I tried to show her that the work ethic, that her greatest non-depreciating asset will always be her reputation, and that must be underpinned by the work ethic. And thank God, wherever she has been or where she has worked, I am always told by a lot of persons, oh, Miss Llewellyn, you're so lucky in your daughter. She's so full of grace and so hardworking. And and I to tell her all the time that my mother would have been very proud of her.
Beautiful.
You know, but my mother was strict.
Yeah.
You know, but I thanked her for it.
Yeah, because it catch with you.
I was the guest speaker at a graduation that St. Hugh's had, and she came with me, and I had to single her out in the crowd and said, Mommy, you were correct.
Yeah.
Nothing was running away, and she thought that it was always important for my sister and I to get a profession or get some certification, something, so that according to my mother, with the greatest of respect to the men, you should not catch on a man's eyelash, because notice, if he quints, you will drop off.
You like him, mother.
So all these things my mother used to tell me, and that nobody can crack your head and take out what is in it. And when you are able to work hard, nobody, she would say, nobody can take hard work to frighten you. So I had my mother.
Boy, was she right.
Yes.
Boy, was she right.
That is so. And then my mentor, Mrs. Martha McIntosh, guided me through the avenues in the legal practice. And to this day, if I call her, she's in her 80s. I go and look for her from time to time. I call her ever so often. And I will say to her, because this is what humility does, if I've been through a particularly difficult time, or I've issued a press release, I will call her and I said, how did I do? Do I need to do better? And she will say, Paula, I saw you on television, or I read your press release. You have been well taught. You did very well.
Excellent.
Even now, after 16, 17 years.
We all need that.
Yes.
At every single stage of our
And you
lives.
can't be too, a lot of people, Simone, when they have high rank, they get caught up. They levitate up into the stars, and their feet leave the ground, and they forget that you are the person serving the people. It's not the people serving you.
Oh, ma'am.
Too many of us forget that. So I try to keep my feet on the ground. And there's an expression I coined, which I'm known for. I am in the trenches.
Roll up those
I'm
sleeves.
not up there, right?
Yeah.
You have to remain in the trenches with the people.
Yeah.
And that
That's
has
why the
worked
people
for
love
me.
you. That's why the people love you. Well, a lot of people love you. The public loves you, and those in your circle love you, and they're sending you that love
Thank you.
right now. Go ahead, my lords.
Miss Llewellyn, when I think of you, there is one word that comes to me. The word is service. Whether it is that you're mentoring or setting an example of selflessness, you are steadfast as a servant leader. Having worked with you for more than 15 years, I know that you trod into the trenches, not for public recognition or for material gain, but to see that justice is done. I celebrate your remarkable contribution to the justice system. And without any misgivings or fear of being contradicted, you have made of Jamaica, by extension the world, a better place. I am inspired by your dedication to service. Thank you for your sacrifice. I'm so very proud to work with you, and so very proud that I get to learn from you.
I found you to be enthusiastic and eager to learn. And you had and still have an excellent command of the English language. As time went on, I watched you develop into a formidable advocate. With the passage of time, you appeared in many high-profile cases and locked horns with many excellent advocates. You were fearless. You uphold your skills, and you were eventually appointed Director of Public Prosecutions, the first ever female to hold that position in Jamaica. Over the years, you have carried out your duties efficiently, fearlessly, and flawlessly. You have acquitted yourself with excellence, and you stand as a role model for many. I expect you to continue to do great things. Godspeed, Paula.
P, you are my fellow September sister. Your strength and resilience and your grace under fire are legendary. But it is all completely natural. What people don't seem to know is that, or understand, is that you have excellence and integrity built into your DNA. This is who you really are. I love you, my friend, not just for being just strong and resilient, but for your beautiful vulnerabilities, for your easy laughter, for your great wit and your humor. You are my friend. And I will always be here for you, and I know you will always be here for me. I love you, I care for you, and I wish nothing but the best for you. Love you, my friend.
Ours has been a friendship of 53 years and counting. Began in Pembroke Hall, where you lived initially. We worshipped at St. Mary's Episcopal Church. We attended St. Hugh's. My favorite memory of you in St. Hugh's, Miss Dove's history class. When Miss Dove asked a question, we all knew to put our hands down once your hand went up. We so look forward to your dramatic response, arms waving and all. And it was then in that classroom we knew you were destined to be a lawyer, and so it has been. In spite of long distance, career, family responsibilities, we have remained good friends. Along the way, I've also served in the unofficial capacity of your stylist and personal shopper. Paula, you're such a good friend. Good friends are better than pocket money. Best wishes to you today and to all your tomorrows.
Just wanted to say how much I love you and appreciate you, and what a wonderful blessing you are in my life. You know, to share that we got particularly close after your mother passed, and I realized that you needed to have a special support system right at hand. But over the years, you have come to be my support system. A more loving, practical, and loyal friend no one could ever want. I really hope that we continue to be best friends for many, many more years to come, and that we actually grow old. Paula, did I say that word? Oh my gosh. Anyway, love you, love you, love you. And continue to thrive, and remember, the best is yet to come. Just wanted to use this opportunity to tell you that you are so loved. We love you so much. I love you so much, my sister. You have been a terrific sister, an awesome mother to Leah, a dedicated friend, a dedicated companion to so many of your associates. Just wanted to use this opportunity again, Paula, just to keep on doing what you're doing. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. That's from Proverbs 31, verse 30. Let this carry you throughout the day. Let this carry you throughout the entire year. Love you, my sister. God bless you.
Mommy, you are the embodiment of service above self. You have given nearly 40 years of your life towards serving this country, and throughout that all, you never once wavered in being an amazing mother to me. I appreciate all the sacrifices you made, and I appreciate the fact that you are willing to sacrifice without hesitation, not just for me, but for all those around you. Even now, you continue to lead with example, with purpose, resilience, and I hope that one day I can even be a quarter of the person that you are. I am so incredibly proud of you. I'm proud to be your daughter.
Simone, you have now allowed the public of this country to see the Iron Lady in tears that I have always said must never happen. Oh my goodness.
Happy tears.
Oh dear, this has really been very moving. Everybody just have amnesia where this is concerned. You're not supposed to see Paula Llewellyn crying.
Oh my gosh. Leah got me. The kiddos get me every time. She says she just wants to be a quarter of the woman.
And I'm sure your daughter will say the same thing about you,
Bless
Simone.
you.
From what you have told me,
Girls.
your daughter will say the same thing.
I'm glad you have that. I'm glad you saw that. I think you knew that, but it's different to hear it.
I tell you, this has never happened. It's not supposed to happen, but I was happy to hear it
I'm glad.
through tears. It's good to sometimes to hear these things, and
Before
sometimes
we're
you're
gone,
so accustomed to being strong. You have to be strong all the time. It's a great burden, and you don't recognize what a burden it is until, for a moment in time, like now, you realize it's okay to be vulnerable. But this has surprised me.
I'm not going to cry. Just take the break out, Lori. Take it fast. Thanks. Take it away. That was not the intent, I promise. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Our final segment with Madame DPP Paula Llewellyn. God has been so good to you. Obviously, you're well loved. We saw that in the package earlier. You say you're not a prayer warrior like your sister, but you have had an abiding faith. And that is what has kept you and hasn't failed you. Tell me about that.
It has never failed me. It's whenever you are going into the headwinds or they seek to engulf you, it's something my mother used to say, learn to pray for yourself and draw on certain scriptures. When I go to church on Sunday, I'm not involved in the church administration, but I sit in my corner and I allow the hymns and, everything to just comfort me. And it does. And church prays for you, you pray for yourself. But it has worked for me. So, as I said, my sister is a tremendous prayer warrior. My mother was a prayer warrior. My grandmother was a prayer warrior. I don't think I have that talent. But you never know. There's still time. Maybe one of these days, especially after
September.
After September. But having that faith in God has helped to keep me.
And importantly, too, you say your organ of positivity.
Yes.
Your mind.
Yes, absolutely. I find in life, too many people in so many areas are willing to rush to embrace toxicity and negativity, whether in terms of their friendships, in terms of their work arena, in terms of life in general. But it's something my mother also taught me. Keep clear of toxicity. Keep clear of negativity. Try to keep clear of persons who they will act like a succubus. They just drain you. And sometimes I say to my daughter, cultivate good friendships. Cultivate positivity. And cultivate a mindset that you see the glass half full as opposed to half empty. And that is what I've tried to do.
In a period of reflection now, your journey has been characterized, your words, stick-to-itiveness, self-actualization, testicular fortitude, sense of humor, self-discipline, humility. As you look now...
work ethic.
And work ethic. You're looking back now at 38 years.
Well, it's 40. 38 years at the office of the DPP and 40 in the public service.
What are the key takeaways?
Because I was a clerk of court for 18 months.
For you, and the key takeaways for those who are watching, who are just about bowled over by the headwinds and they don't want to get up. What has this 4-decade journey taught you that you can leave with us?
That in life, stuff happens, but you have it within you to be able to self-actualize and to be purpose-driven and to choose how you are going to approach the potholes or the headwinds or the challenges or the slings and arrows. And that life very often is what you make it, what you allow to be your trigger. And I think ultimately, when you fashion life and what part you are going to play in it, as you making a contribution and doing something good for others, that is the best cosmetic. That is the best thing to soothe your soul. And in whatever way you can, still always try to make a positive contribution, which will ultimately help to make other people's lives better.
Sounds to me like you're saying no regrets. Public service was really it.
That is it, and I've had a lot of challenges.
Death threats.
Yes,
Yeah,
and a lot of negatives that I won't go into, but each one, as I went over them, it made me better, like finely tempered steel having been forged through the greatest fire. And on the other side, that finely tempered steel was able to be used, perhaps by God, to bring justice, to bring hope, to motivate, because I do a lot of motivational speeches, and just to, as I look back on my 40 years, I thank God that I was given the opportunity to find my passion. That's a something, to find your passion and to be able to live it and to have the grace to overcome the challenges and come out at the end of the day with a smile.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for sharing that smile with us. Thank you for sharing your energy with us. Thank you for sharing your positivity with us. And thank you for sharing your vulnerability with us this evening.
Ah, Simone, you have just blown my cover. You know, people were surprised the other day that some people discovered through these memes that I love to dance.
Yes.
That was AI, though, generated, but I love to dance. And as I said, I am a romantic, but all that is usually kept way undercover of the Iron Lady, Monica. Well, I'm in the final few months of my... So I guess it's okay for me to show the fact that there's a little bit more to the Iron Lady. And I leave you with this. A gentleman in the supermarket came up to me once and said, Miss Llewellyn, I love your smile because of the open space. And then he leans forward and says, but what a way the stress agree with you. So allow the challenges and the stress to agree with you and to make you a better person in service of others.
Affirmation time. I have nothing else to add to that. Let's run the affirmation, folks. So gale force winds, they will knock you down, but you absolutely do not have to stay there. And you may look around and you may see everything blowing away, but you're absolutely grounded. Why? Because you're anchored. You're anchored in values, you're anchored in truth, in service, in love, in faith and trust in the one above. And the formula to take you through the rough patches. It's a formula to help you hunker down and batten down the hatches, because the gale force winds pass. And you may be tired and worn, but when gale force winds subside, beautiful things are born. So tonight we are affirming, I am anchored in who I know, so it's okay. The winds can blow. And that is our soul food and our show for this evening. Thank you everybody for watching. We're back next week with another story of the power of the human spirit. Until then, every blessing, and please remember to count your blessings. Night, everybody.